And it doesn't mean that I'm devoid of the right to call him a flaming hypocrite when it's called upon.
Barkley, who's a friend and a brother, appeared on Outkick's Don't At Me podcast with Dan Dockish. Dan asked Barkley about the myriad of places I've been seen recently talking about sports, politics, and even acting on General Hospital and recently Law and Order. Here's what Barkley had to say. Take a look at this, please.
So I don't want to be on TV more. I want to be on TV less.
I don't think that's the Stephen A. Smith method right now. I don't think that's his mentality, Charles.
Listen, that's not. As a matter of fact, I was in the studio last night, and I see he's going to be on Law and Order tonight. I mean, he's already on General Hospital. He's already on General Hospital. Now he's going to be on Law and Order tonight. And I was just laughing. I'm like, yo, man, you're starting to be too much right now. Like, you're going to be on CNN. You're going to be on Fox and Friends. Now you're on General Hospital. Now you're on Law and Order. I'm like, yo, man, knock it off. Stop being on every TV show. Because at some point, people are going to regret. They're going to get sick of you. And you're going to be like, yeah, I probably did too much. But once you do too much, it's too late. And then people don't take you serious. And I think he's got to be careful in that aspect.
First order of business, as a forewarning. Anything, I shouldn't say a forewarning, just a heads up. Anything that I say that is critical of Charles Barkley is all in fun. That is my friend. That is my brother. I love him dearly. I always have. I always will. He is as real and as authentic as it gets. And oh, by the way, weeks ago when he was critical of me as it pertained to my response to LeBron James, when LeBron James and I, had our little spiel, Charles Barkley and I spoke on the phone. And what he said publicly is exactly what he said privately. That's my guy. But that doesn't mean I always agree with him. And it doesn't mean that I'm devoid of the right to call him a flaming hypocrite when it's called upon. Do y'all have any idea how many commercials Charles Barkley does a year? He'll tell us 2. Have you seen Charles Barkley in 2 commercials? Are you kidding me? Oh, by the way, the cat that you work with at least twice a week during the NBA season is Shaquille O'Neal. Can we count the amount of endorsements he has? How often he's seen everywhere? What new product he's pitching? Did you say that about him? No, you didn't. But when it comes to me, I need to be careful. Oh, by the way, Dan Dockish, slickly brings up, me with politics and all of this other stuff. Wasn't it Charles Barkley who made news for years talking about his aspiration to run for the governor of Alabama? Because that's where he's from before starring at Auburn and all of this other stuff. Wasn't that him? I mean, it just amazes me how people can say some of the things that they say sometimes. It absolutely positively blows me away, okay? Because I'm not the one with commercials everywhere. I'm working. Fox and Friends know that involves early mornings. That's a rare appearance. That almost never happens. That's not accurate. ESPN is the worldwide leader. They have a multitude of outlets. Plus, they put me on their .com sites. Outside of that, you see me occasionally on Sean Hannity, occasionally. You see me pretty much weekly on Chris Cuomo's show on News Nation. He's a friend and he asked me to come on and I come on. Where else have I been seen? Can we really get to the heart of the matter? And this isn't directed at Charles Barkley. This is directed at all the folks out there. I'm making people very uncomfortable. And I don't give a shit. You can sit there and talk about people not taking me seriously all you want to. We'll see. Because I'm a serious brother. That doesn't mean I don't know how to laugh and smile and have fun, but I know who the hell I am. We're talking about me on General Hospital. Why now? I've been on General Hospital for 7 years. It's a soap opera. That's not a sports show. It's a different audience. I went on Law and Order. That's the first time I've been on primetime television for anything outside of working for ESPN. That's Law and Order. That's not sports. So if you're watching sports, chances are you're not watching those other things. You might not be watching soaps. You might not be watching Law and Order. So one would argue I'm reaching a different audience, and I'm expanding and showing that I'm somewhat of a Renaissance man, that I have the versatility to do the things that I'm doing. People saw me acting. They said, hey, he does a good job. And I'm supposed to scale that back because of my conspicuous presence? Last time I checked, that's what we're in this business for. And the very people laughing and dismissing it, are you trying to tell me you would turn down those opportunities if it came your way? Why are you in this business? Yes, it's easy for Charles Barkley to sit up there and say 2 commercials a year, even though that's a lie, because he's definitely doing more than 2. But when you're making the money that you're making, that you have been making for years, you could afford to turn down those opportunities. Don't bring up my contract now. That was just signed last month. You've been making that money for years. So when we look at it from that standpoint, what's that about? And oh, by the way, when you see me at other places, whether it be podcasts or other shows, I don't volunteer to go talk to these people. Y'all call and ask. Yet you'll call and ask and then say, I want to be seen, when you're the one to call and ask me to be seen. Could it be because I speak with substance? That I have something to say that will draw viewers and listeners to your respective shows? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing in this business?
All right. So here we got Stephen Boy clapping back at Charles Barkley. This one, I actually think that Stephen A has a point. And I'm not, just because what he's saying is true. Charles Barkley is everywhere. He's been everywhere. Shaq is everywhere. They've been everywhere. You know, so I'm just wondering, why is it that Charles does not want Stephen A to be everywhere also? Right? But I do know that one of Charles's themes is always going up against ESPN. I've never heard Charles say a good thing about ESPN yet. And who's the head man at ESPN? Even now, even more, that Shannon Sharpe is out the door. Stephen A. Smith. You know, so obviously if a question is asked about somebody related to ESPN, you know that he's not going to have something good to say. So I'm thinking that's why he said this nonsense. And I call it nonsense because it just doesn't make sense, you know, at all. That he's being seen in too many places. I mean, in the media today, the more you're seen is the more money that you get. The more attention you get, it's the more money that you get. So that doesn't mean nothing. And Charles knows that. Because Charles is everywhere. Right? But this just goes back to the war against ESPN. And knowing that in the fall, all these guys who Charles is taking shots against, taking shots at Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, they're all going to be, or supposed to be on the same team at ESPN. So, you know, that's going to make for something. All right. When I looked at Stephen A. in this clip, I can't really tell, you know, what his demeanor would be. Where is his feelings at? Because he didn't go all in. Right? You know, he prefaced the whole thing saying that he's Charles' his friend. And he's just calling him, you know, but him being his friend doesn't mean that you can't call him out on his BS. So I don't think that beef is as serious as the one that he has with Kendrick. where, if they see each other, some hands might get thrown. That's what I feel. But at the end of the day, Charles is still here, still showing these guys that I ain't with you. Okay, I don't really like you guys. Don't like what you're doing. And it again just leads us to wait and see what's going to happen, when the TNT crew goes over to ESPN. Will it be fireworks? What do you guys think? Will everybody just play along or go along to get along with Charles, be able to sit at the table with Kendrick and Stephen A? Or will this beef be ignited even further? Let me know in the comments, and that's about it. So until next time.